Naughty. We are live.
It's that time again. It's the Berkey and the Badger Board Game Babble Show. It's going to get wild. It's going to get wacky. It might even get a little zany. We're going to talk about board games and the board game industry. And, you know, we might talk about anything else we want to talk about.
Hey, 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 we're live. It's the Berkey and the Badger Board Game Babble Show. How are you doing there, my friend? Barry dubs a lot in foreign languages.
You. Oh, yeah, you're reading the script. Oh, that makes a change for us, doesn't it? Yes, I'm doing very well, Berkey, my good friend, Mr. Berkey, Baseball Highlights Meyer.
Yes, yes.
That be you. And Dan Hughes says thank you. You sent him a copy of.
Only
such a
Pama,
nice guy.
sense-sized pair.
You're
Yeah.
too nice. Your heart is so big.
It's,
I don't know how the screen can't be filled with just your heart.
oh no, it's like the Grinch, though. It used to be small, and then it just grew 10 sizes too big.
Yeah, I think that happened to my mouth.
I tell you what, that Dan Hughes, you know, and his daughter Cora, you know, they're on the Board Game Breakfast segment as we contribute to it as well, and he is just like the gem of a guy. And that little Cora, she's just adorable, but she doesn't like to be called cute. So if you ever respond to Cora, you always have to say she's the most coolest, the most awesome kid that you've ever seen.
Yeah, and Dan doesn't like to be called Chewy.
No, or cute or adorable. He doesn't like that.
No, when I bumped into him at the UK Gaming Expo, he was chatting to his friend who was actually working with me, and I kind of felt like Princess Leia with the walking carpet in the way, and I just wanted to give him a hug. For some reason, I called him Chewy, and it totally went above him. But anyhow.
Hey, we have the most lovely guest with us. We have the wonderful, the incomparable, the amazing Sara Erikson, Director of Sales and Marketing from Renegade Games Studios. How are you doing, Sara?
Good, good. How are you guys?
Fantastic.
Nice. It's going to be a good one, I can tell.
It's really hot here, too. It's hot in France, it's hot in Bozeman, Montana, and it's hot in Fergus Falls, Minnesota.
Wow. It's a global phenomenon.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Well, we mentioned that, Barry, that we called you Barry Dubs a lot in foreign languages because I think you've been up to some stuff when translating some rule books into English, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, yes. I've been translating a few rule books from time to time, and I just got this new game from my friend. It's designed by my friend, and it's by Rune Games here. It's Philip Tappy Mocket. It's called Blackwood. And yes, I had the pleasure of translating the rule book into English, which was fun. And then I get the game, and I look at the rule book, and I'm looking at, oh, there's my name at the back, and then I look at the front, and I go, oh, there's an error. There's another error. I'm like, oh dear. The second edition, we need to correct the English rules. No, they're not bad errors. They're not bad errors. They're just little things which I glazed over, little kind of words that could just be tweaked a little bit to make them a bit more, you know. But yeah, that's one of the games that I've translated, and it's one of the games that I'm reviewing at the moment. It's over on the table. I've got my new camera. Thanks to all my Patreons who supported my program. I've got a new camera, so I can do very, very good zoom close-up shots of minis in high definition without any jiggles and wiggles. So thank you very much. Yes, awesome. So what have you been up to, Berkey?
Well, it's been a wild ride because we just got back from Dice Tower Con. And I was tired before I went to Origins, you know, and I drove to Origins. We had big fun at Origins doing the Spoils of War video and helping out Arcane Wonders, which is our sponsor, by the way. We just want to, again, thank Arcane Wonders for all their generous support of the show. Woohoo! Spoils of War was so much fun. We had just a great time with that. But I transitioned going into Dice Tower Con. We actually grabbed some of the components to make 6 tables of our Game Toppers, our new product that we're offering. And we had that in a few of the customer booths, the publisher booths there. And so I drove 28 hours, madcap. We ran down to Dice Tower Con, got that all set up, had an awesome time just running back and forth, and then had a nice 28-hour drive back home. And coming home, it was like, you think you could I just take a day off or 2 days, 1 day just to sit on the couch and binge watch something on Netflix? You know, I don't even care what it is because I'm going to sleep during most of it, right? Mm-hmm. Happened. But Dice Tower Con, if you guys haven't had a chance to go to Dice Tower Con, boy, I would just, if you want to go to a gamers con where you can just sit down, play games, you can hang out with a lot of friends, really great resort that's just beautiful. Even if you want to bring your family, kids can play in the pool. They had this beautiful, amazing kids library where they had really qualified staff that you could bring your kids and have them play games. And it was just, it's this awesome environment. Dice Tower Con for me is one of my favorites. And even though they grew to about 3,000 people this year, it still had that inviting family, just great gamer feel to it. There was, you know, Sarah, you were there. How did you feel about the new Dice Tower with a little bit larger?
You know, this is my first year there, but it was fantastic. I do go to a ton of conventions every year, and this one was certainly one of my favorites. It was very accessible. There were always tons of games to play. They kept it simple. There were fun things to do, like the award ceremonies and the game show, but it didn't detract from just extra time to play games, which is why we're all there.
How was the show for you as a publisher? Did you have a lot of interaction with the people?
Yeah, our booth was packed the whole time we were there. So that was awesome. We also had really easy interactions with the staff. They did a really good job accommodating us at every single little thing. They even gave us free lunch, which never happens. So that was super cool.
Yeah, that
was awesome.
That Heather Mann and Victoria, her daughter,
Mm-hmm.
These two gals, they are so sharp, and I mean, kudos to them. It blows my mind how I heard this from publisher after publisher that, hey, if you had any need, they were just right there responding, taking care of things.
Yeah, I was very impressed with how aggressively they made sure that everything was perfect for us. So it was a totally awesome event, lots of cool special things. So I'm really excited to go back.
So were you actually selling games at your booth, or were you going through cool stuff like some of the other vendors?
So we were selling stuff at our own booth, and we had a lot of games that we just had small quantities that we air shipped in from China that we saved just for this event, and they aren't for sale anywhere else. We had Sentient, Fox in the Forest, Flip Ships, and Atlas, and we sold out of all of them. The response was fantastic.
Cool. Wow, yeah. The booth looked great. It was right across from the cool mini booth where I had one of my tables, and every time I'd be over there, you guys were just cram-packed. I had hoped that I would be able to sit down and demo some games with you. I was really looking forward to that because, I mean, Renegade is on fire, man. You guys are just doing a bang-up job. It's some of my favorite games. So.
Yeah, and they're all on display behind you as well. That's what I like.
What did you say it again? I missed it.
They're all on display behind you as well.
Yeah, all of these awesome games I've got here. I actually spent hours yesterday cleaning my closet that's behind me because I had a stack that was halfway up to my shoulders of just new games that we've had coming out recently that I hadn't organized yet. So if I opened those doors yesterday, you would have seen a lot of them.
Ah.
Well, I did something special. Look at this. Can you see that?
Ooh, pretty.
That's one of our game toppers, but what do I have sitting on there? Clank,
yeah.
And lanterns.
That's awesome.
And a bottle of beer.
Well, that's for you live. It doesn't make good radio, but oh well.
Yeah. Audio podcast. Beware, there is no beer on the table.
I see Kabuki Kid has joined us. How you doing, kiddo? Good to see you. All righty. Well, I think let's just go right on to our next segment there, Barry. Things that make us go, hmm.
Things that make us go, hmm. Board game news. Berkey and Badger reflect on the current events that are happening in the board game industry. Some may be good, some may be bad, but they're all things that make us go, hmm.
Do you see that Photoshop work there, Sarah, on the marquee on Barry's screen?
That's pretty impressive. Cut and paste and everything.
Well, you had these beautiful curls, and so I was trying to wizard around those things, and my Photoshop skills are not good, but I tried to do it justice.
Oh, thank you. No, you did a good job. That's awesome.
So, Barry, what are some things that are making you go, hmm?
Okay, give me a second. Flick, flick, flicky, flick, flick. And we've got 16 different windows open all at once. Okay. Funny little thing happened this morning. I'm looking on Board Game Geek, as I do. I don't know why. But I'm on Board Game Geek, and I'm having a look, and I'm looking at Seventh Continent because I love the feedback that this game is getting. Even though this game is not even out. I look very strange with the headphones on. Let's do it properly. Let's do it like that. Let's do it like a singer. Say you, say me. Yeah, I'm diverting this conversation because I totally forgot to ask you about that man on the bench. But anywho, so yeah, I was looking at this new comment which come up on Facebook, on Board Game Geek for the Seventh Continent, and it was a complaint about exclusives. Now, during the Kickstarter project, Serious Pulp, who did the Seventh Continent, said that, these are the Kickstarter exclusives and these are for Kickstarter backers. But what they've done since is they've done some promos which are exclusive for Board Game Geek and Trick Track as a thank you for doing the advertising and help promote the game and help the game get it. But people are not happy about this because they're upset that they're missing out on something. Now, for me, Kickstarter exclusives are just really non-essential parts of a working engine. And so, again, I know the Seventh Continent, and it's a big game with a lot of cards. And you're going to get a few cards with this exclusive if you buy it from Board Game Geek or Trick Track. And the chances of you encountering those cards in your playthrough are going to be quite small. And these cards are not really essential to the game. So what are you missing out on and what are you angry about? And this made me go, a Kickstarter exclusive is a Kickstarter exclusive. But, a company should be allowed to open the door a bit more and say, look, these guys helped us out. We want to do something for them. This is what we're going to do. Don't be angry because it's just 1 or 2 cards.
And they're available, right? Like people can go and buy them on Board Game Geek?
Yeah, they should be available. I don't know if they are available yet. I haven't had a look. But, yeah, I don't see the problem.
As a publisher, I've worked for Cryptozoic, Yellow, and now Renegade. And we've had exclusive promos at all of those places. And it seems like, as far as the customer service thing goes, the easiest way to get those to people is really Board Game Geek. I know Trick Track a little bit from working with Yellow because they're a European media company. Those might be a little harder to get here in the US, but really Board Game Geek makes it so easy for people who want that promo to be able to go and get it. But if we have promos that are initially kind of hard to get, I like when we're able to put them up on Board Game Geek afterwards because it does open it up a lot more.
Yeah, I think it's kind of an interesting topic because sometimes people are, cool mini or not, when they put out exclusives with their campaigns, it seems to go fabulously well, and they market that pretty heavily with their big titles, Rising Sun, which was just, very, very successful, Green Horde as well. But then you have other instances where people feel like they're not getting the same treatment. So it's interesting how different people perceive it. I usually don't get too uptight about something. If I want it, I'll go in and grab it, and if I don't want it, then I'm okay.
Okay, so let's ask you that then. If bought a game or backed a game on Kickstarter and you got this, and this on top, but there's one thing that you didn't get, would you be upset?
Not personally, not me. I'm pretty content. You know, I'm somewhat of a completionist, but I'm not a total completionist. So it's like sometimes there's so much in these games, and I've got 400 games on my shelf here. I can't get to the ones I want to play anyway. So to be able to play that thing 20 times, to play all the different permeations and variability that the different exclusives provide, I'm probably not going to get to them all anyway, so I don't get that uptight.
Precisely.
Well, it seems kind of weird because no one would be upset if they later on decided to put out an expansion that they could then purchase later. And this is even easier to get and cheaper than an expansion. So if they choose to buy it, they can. It's not like they had to be in a particular place at a particular time to get it. Just anybody can buy it off BGG. So that seems like a surprising thing to be upset about. I would see more of an argument to say it's frustrating with the Kickstarter exclusives, because then as a store owner or as somebody who didn't know about it at the time, you can't get those items later. That's more frustrating than them saying, well, you got all this stuff already, now we're adding more things that you can get through BGG.
Yeah, I think that's the key too. Well, one of the things that's been making me go, is that I was just at the Dice Tower Con and the annual Dice Tower Awards happened. And the Dice Tower Awards, in my opinion, are some of the funnest, and I love the community of the Dice Towers. So there's a lot of diversity in the judging process, a lot of contributors from different backgrounds. And so I like the way the categories are designed. The Spiel des Jahres was just announced. The Origins Awards were just announced. The Golden Geek Awards, and they all have their place. But for me personally, just my opinion, I really enjoy the Dice Tower Awards. I think they're very thoughtful. This year, I'm going to go through just the quick lineup here, and then I'll tell you what made me go, But for basically, I'm going to start here at the bottom and just kind of go up real quickly for you. The most innovative game was awarded was Captain Sonar. And the best two-player game, Star Wars Rebellion, Fantasy Flight Games. And then we had best theming, again, Captain Sonar. That was Matago. Best strategy game, Terraforming Mars, Stronghold Games. Best reprint was Mansions of Madness, 2nd edition by Fantasy Flight Games. Best party game, Captain Sonar, Matago. Amazing. Best game from a small publisher, Role Player. That's Thunderworks Games. All right. Best game from a new designer was Jacob Frylixus. I'm probably saying that wrong. That's Terraforming Mars. The best family game was awarded to Ice Cool. Yeah. Ice Cool. Ice Cool. I want some Ice Cool right now.
Yeah, I'll give you the bucket.
Speaking of that, some Coca-Cola with ice.
I got blood.
You got Dragon's Blood, okay. Best expansion went to Seven Wonders Duel Pantheon. That was Antoine Bauza and Bruno Cathala. That's Repos. And the best cooperative game went to Mansions of Madness, 2nd edition. And best board game production went to Mechs versus Minions. Best artwork went to Scythe, Jamie Stegmaier, Alan Stone at Stonemaier Games. And Game of the Year went to Scythe, Stonemaier Games. Well, I could have went through all the nominations. I thought this year the nominations going into Best Game of the Year were fantastic. This was an amazing field of games. Terraforming Mars. I mean, we had Scythe was in there. Mechs versus Minions, Star Wars Rebellion. Some of these games that were just really remarkable. The thing that made me go, was the amount of love that Captain Sonar got. Now, I haven't played Captain Sonar, so I can't comment on it from an individual standpoint. I haven't been able to get that to the table. I don't own it. But I heard a lot of my friends who have played it. They really loved the game. They enjoyed it, really liked the game. So I'm not saying it's not deserving, but what I was really surprised about was how much love it actually got, especially in the most innovative category, because there's other games that have kind of done that same thing. I don't know. What's your take on that, Sarah, Barry?
I think Captain Sonar was a fabulous game. I really enjoyed playing it as well. So when you think about Dice Tower Con's audience, it is a little bit more family friendly. It's less super hardcore Euro gamers or war gamers or anything like that. And just being at the convention, you really got this sense of just people coming together with their entire family playing. So I like that in Captain Sonar, you have not only the ability to play with a lot of people, but it's also something you could play with anybody. So it doesn't surprise me too much that it was awarded and noticed quite a bit in these awards, but to the extent that it was, maybe a little surprising. 3 awards is a lot.
What did you feel about party game? Do you feel like it's a party game?
I hadn't put it in that category before, but I can definitely see that. And I don't know of any other party games off the top of my head. I don't play a lot of them myself, but thinking back over the last year, I can't really think of any that would have been more fun to play with a big group, other than maybe something like Happy Salmon. I would put that in the party game category, and I really enjoyed that game too. So maybe a little surprising that that didn't win instead. I don't remember what the other nominees are. Do you have those pulled up?
I can see if it'll pull it up for me here. It might not in this feed that I have. I think Happy Salmon was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not going to let me find that real quickly here.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, I think Happy Salmon, I would have probably picked that one as a party game because it fits that for me a little bit better. But Captain Sonar is awesome, so I'm not super sad about that winning either.
Yeah, it just made me go just a little bit for the 2 categories, but people love this game, so that's fantastic. Congratulations to Matago and all the winners on that. You know, I thought Scythe was a well-deserving game. I really had hoped, and this isn't shilling for Renegade, but I really did hope that Clank would have had more recognition. And I know it's a deck builder, but there was something to me about that going in that dungeon crawl. When I first heard about it, I really wanted it. I even talked to you once several months ago about Clank, but because I hadn't tried it, well, I was able to snag a copy somewhere, and then all of a sudden we started playing it. My family has been playing this game nonstop. I mean, we've probably played it 8-10 times. We've been playing with the Sunken Treasures expansion, and we just love my whole game group. We just love it, and it's something just slightly different because of the way the deck building is. And the going in there quick and delving, maybe needing to get out. It just felt innovative to me, even though I know it's deck building, but nonetheless, it didn't make the cut.
Well, you know, awards are great and all, but honestly, we hear so much feedback just like yours every single day that our fans are loving the game, and that's all we really need. We make these games for you guys, and I think that we succeeded in our attempt to make a fabulous game that almost anybody could enjoy with Clank. And our sales back it up. The feedback we get backs it up. The reviews we've had have been amazing. So awards are nice, but we're still happy.
Yeah. The problem I think you'll find with awards is you'll run out of space on your actual box. Your box art will be like this, and it'll be Dice Tower Award. It's
true. That box is getting a little busy already. We did win the Mensa Select Award, which is a very cool award to win. It has a Dice Tower seal of excellence, and it's just racking up that type of nomination and notice in the community. So we're happy with that.
Yeah, the only awards that stand out for me are the Men's Nut and the Spiel. Everything else can be flushed down the toilet. I don't care.
Fair enough.
Yeah, those are the ones that are the important ones. You know, if Bob Salmon, who has a YouTube channel with 16 subscribers, gives an award to a game and that's on the box,
Hey, welcome, Don. Don's in the chat. Don Lyle's a good friend of ours. And Kabuki Kid has a question. I was thinking the same thing as we're talking about Clank. Are there any more expansions in the works, Sarah?
So we know that our fans love Clank, and we would encourage you all to follow us on social media, subscribe to our newsletter, because more is coming. We'll tell you more about it as soon as we can.
But when are us Europeans going to get Clank? Because I've got a lot of friends who are saying, "Oh, Barry, have you tried Clank? Have you tried Clank?" I'm like, "No, nobody sent me a copy yet. I haven't received a copy." Oh, tell me when you get it. Oh, when's it coming? When's it coming? Okay. So when's it coming to Europe?
Well, we've sent a lot of it to Europe already, but we actually just had a new printing of it, and that container is on its way to you guys now. So it should be very shortly that you see a lot more influx of it. But we've had a tough time keeping it in stock since we printed it. Last October is when it came out to begin with, and we've been out of stock the whole time. We just barely got a big reprint, so hopefully that'll help get some more people to play. Word of mouth, and I've heard nothing but good things, so that always helps. Better than an award, word of mouth. That's right. I'll take it.
That's fantastic. I think this might be a good segue before we get into our game show with Sarah. But if we could just talk a little bit, Sarah, about your background. You know, I understand you live in Bozeman, Montana, and you have a wonderful husband who you co-own a actual game store with. Is that right? Yeah, it's true. We just had our 11-year anniversary for the store. Wow. Wow, 11 years. Congratulations. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it's been good. Bozeman's a wonderful place to have a game store because there's a big university here. We're the only game store. It's not a very big town, which has its own challenges. We're at about 40,000 people plus some students. So I wouldn't recommend anyone starting a store in a place this small, but we've had really good support from the community. So we've made it so far. It's been fun. Yeah, that's fantastic. I think when we get into our Babble topic, we're going to talk about the topic top shelf, and we're going to talk about games that get attention, and we're going to incorporate some of these thoughts from a retailer's perspective, which I think is really unique because here you are an industry insider professional working as a sales and marketing manager with Renegade and have a wide variety of experience, but you also have the retailer experience. So that gives you a unique perspective in the hobby. It does help. It gives me a lot of data on the back end so I can see what things are selling well. I also have a great community of board gamers that I can go and play games with all the time. So I know what things are hot and fresh in the industry. And you really need to be able to do that to be a good publisher, I think. Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, tell us a little bit about what Renegade is doing and how you got started with them, and just give us a little bit of feedback and background about yourself, and then let's talk a little bit about some of the new things Renegade is doing. Yeah, so I started working in the publisher side of everything. That looked painful. What's he doing?
It was a cat. Scratch me.
Oh, yikes.
There you go. Sorry. Carry on.
Okay, so about 5 years ago, I started working at Cryptozoic Entertainment, and I had been working at my store as a manager, but I wanted to kind of branch out and see what else I could do in the industry. So I started working there for Scott Gata. He was one of the founders of Cryptozoic at the time, and had a great time working on the organized play team with the World of Warcraft trading card game. And after 2.5 years, I moved on to work with Yellow for a little while and got to do sales for them, learned a little bit more about the European board game market, which was fascinating, and worked with their European office pretty frequently. And then after that, Scott Gata, who I'd worked with at Cryptozoic, left Cryptozoic and started Renegade about almost 3 years ago now. And got that all up and running, and really it was growing so fast that he needed some extra help, and he brought me on about 1.5 years ago. So that's where I've been last 5 years. Wow, that's fantastic. I've met Scott a couple times. I talked to him at Gamma trade show, and he seems like a really, really wonderful guy. Yeah, he's just very sharp. He has a super good eye for business. Wonderful manager. I've just really enjoyed working with him. So it's been an honor to have him both as my boss and also as my mentor. And I really look forward to all the crazy plans he has in the future. There's always something.
Well, you can see that his experience and his quality is shining through because you guys are doing some fantastic things in the hobby and getting a lot of recognition because so many fantastic games. I mean, you had Lanterns, which is one of my family's favorite games. We love Lanterns. And we talked about this before on the show, but The Blood of an Englishman, what a great little game by Dan Sassar. And you've got Honshu, that has gotten a lot of praise and a lot of buzz. And what are some things that are coming out new that you're excited about?
Yeah, this year has been super crazy. So Gen Con is coming up, and we have several new releases there. But before Gen Con, we actually have The Fox in the Forest. It's coming out this week. So we're 2 days away from that. It's a 2-player trick-taking game with absolutely gorgeous artwork. And the designer of it, Joshua Burgle, is one of the 2 people who did Hocus, along with Grant Rodiak. So he's just an awesome designer. I love how simple and beautiful this game is. Anyone who's ever played a trick-taking game needs to check this one out. So that's coming out on Wednesday, July 19th. We also have Scott Pilgrim is premiering at San Diego Comic-Con this week as well. And we have a convention exclusive cover for that at the convention. And then we'll also be selling that at Gen Con. And then it's coming out through retailers after that. Also at Gen Con, we'll have Flip Ships, which we showed off at Dice Tower Con and Origins. And
I got to tell you, let me interrupt for a second. Flip Ships, I got to tell you, I was hanging out with the Dukes of Dice quite a bit at Dice Tower Con, and Sean and Raquel are some of my favorite people in the hobby, and Alex Goldsmith and Sean's best friend Ellie. You know, we played a big epic game of Kemet, and I love Dice Tower Con is the time I get to hang with them, and at BGG Con. And so it's always a highlight. But Alex, I mean, this guy was going nuts over Flip Ship. I mean, Flip Ships. Don't say it fast 3 times. Flip Ships. and he's I mean, anybody he stopped, he was playing Flip Ships with. And then I see pictures, he's playing with his dad. His dad, they went to the ESPYs, and he's playing Flip Ships, and he's just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over this game. And it's just it got me excited. I want to try this thing.
It's really fun. So I'm terrible at dexterity games normally, but this one's cooperative. So even if you're not great at it, you can still be good as a team together. And it makes it fun because it's sort of like being part of a sports team. Every time you flip your ship token, you're trying to hit these enemy cards that are coming towards you. And if you hit them, if you land on it, then you'll destroy them and they won't deal damage to your base. But when you flip it, there's just this wonderful suspense of, is it going to land in the right place? And when that landing sticks, the whole table just erupts and you're all cheering, and it's a very fun, very cooperative feeling activity. So I think King Klenko is just really on a roll too. He's the designer of Fuse and Flatline, which also just recently came out. He's a master at making cooperative games where you actually have to work together, where you can't have somebody take the lead and just go with it. Everybody has to be part of that team. So I'm excited to see what else he has going on in the future, because this one is just really rolling. People are loving it.
Yeah, so it sounded really exciting. It's kind of got that alien, or what's the old Space Aliens video game type of feel to it, right?
Yeah, it's coming at you slowly. Yeah. Yep, those ships just really come and get you. So I think people are really going to love this when it finally comes out, but the people who've gotten to play it so far have really had a blast with it. So that one we will also have at Gen Con. And then along with that, Sentient. It's a game by J. Alex Cavern. It's almost the opposite in every way. So instead of being this really intense, fast, fun, crazy activity that's cooperative, Sentient is a very thinky, competitive game. It's a dice manipulation game where you are trying to plug robots into your factory as efficiently as possible to make sure you get the most points. And you do that by modifying dice on your board, and each card, depending on what dice you have, will give you more or less points. So it's a very puzzly game, and when you see people playing it, they're all sort of like hunched over the board, staring at it, and hardly even talking to each other because they're so intensely into this game, which is the kind of game I really like to play. And that's by J. Alex Cavern, who designed World's Fair. And there's a lot of similarities in sort of the style of the game, but not in the mechanics of it.
Yeah,
So
I know Dan King was raving about Sentient. He thought it was just fantastic.
It's a really, really different game. You've never played anything like it, which I appreciate. And then also another really unique game that we have at Gen Con will be Raiders of the North Sea. It recently received a Steel nomination. So we will have
congratulations. That's congratulations for bringing that title to North America. That's like fantastic.
I'm so excited. So I was playing it at Dice Tower Con with a family. That it was fun to watch their experience of playing it too, because just every round you kind of are doing different things. You open up more parts of the board. It's a worker placement game, but it does that in a very different, unique way. So it's fun to watch people experience that for the first time and see the new strategies and then be excited to try it again afterwards. It doesn't surprise me at all. Shem, the designer, was nominated for this award because, man, he really is a smart guy. He's got a lot of really cool things in that series. And I haven't played all of them yet, but I know Explorers is also super fun. So I can't wait to try the whole Rune Saga series.
Have you played that? It's because that's been available in Europe for you, right?
Yeah, I think I've got some friends who got it, but the thing is, you know, my friends like buy 50 games a week, and so it's like trying to get to the one game to play it a week is, yeah. So
you just need to play games more days a week, obviously.
Yeah, it's hard now with a baby and hot weather. You know, it's so hot I can't even shave in the morning because, you know, I wash my face, I get my razor out, and then I'm sweating, and it's like it sticks. It's like no. So it's hard being here.
If you get a chance, I think you'll really enjoy Raiders. The worker placement mechanic is really unique because every turn you start with a worker in your hand, and exactly one worker every time, and you have to put it on the board in an empty space, and that's the action that you take. But certain spaces require certain colors of workers. So if you have a gray worker, you can't put it in the spot for a white worker space. So you also have to decide where it can go based on that. And then the second part of your turn, you pick up a worker from a space and you do that action as well. But the worker that you pick up is going to be the one that you place the next round. So there's a little bit of pre-planning and thinking ahead of what you're going to be able to do. But then somebody else just takes your spot you wanted anyway and messes you up. So it's neat though. It's definitely different. So we have that coming out at Gen Con. And then we also, I know it's a lot of stuff, our booth is going to be crazy. We also have Ex Libris coming out, which is a library game where you're actually alphabetizing books, which is super fun. It's by Adam P. McIver, and you are trying to organize the books on your shelves, and each card has a letter from the alphabet on it. And so it'll be like, and it'll have the names of the books on there too. So it might be something like Aardvarks and Antelopes. And so it'd be in the AD for Aardvarks. And you have to make sure that it's alphabetized correctly, because if you then also have alligators and I don't know, something else, you would have to make sure that it fits in the right place. It'd be before that.
Oh, you mean this has spelling in it? Like spelling?
So we actually put, you see the letters on there, and we put the alphabet on everybody's player board just in case.
Now I know my ABCs, A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
We really want to cut down on the singing.
I already hate this game. I hate this game already.
I love this game already. I love sorting out my CD collection in alphabetical order, and then inside each band, you sort it out in chronological order, but sometimes you put it in alphabetical order, and then you think, wait a minute, why don't I just put all of them in album title? Oh, yeah, this is fun. I have fun doing that.
Yes, if you like things being organized. But even if you don't like things being organized, it really doesn't matter a whole lot, because you can organize your library, but that's just part of the game. The other part of the game is that it is a worker placement game, and you have locations that you can send your workers to every round. But they're going to be different each round because they're tiles that come out and then get reshuffled back in. So you're going to have to change your strategy every round. You can't just do the same thing over and over again, like in a lot of worker placement games. And that I think is really cool and unique. And the workers themselves, everybody starts with a unique character that they're playing. And they're crazy things. Like you can play as the ghost that gets a special ability. And every time you send that special ghost character out to a location, he does something cool. Or you can play as the bookworm, and you'll actually get a little worm meeple token. And there's 12 different ones, and they're all really crazy. I really like the gelatinous cube. It's this clear cube with little bubbles in it from things it's eaten. Super hilarious. So it's very thematic. Everything's absolutely beautiful. The artwork's great, but it's still a Euro-y, puzzly game. So I think it hits a lot of those things, sort of like Clank did, where it uses this mechanic that you know, but then it does something different and cool with it and makes it very thematic and story-driven.
That's awesome. Sounds great. My grandson would be great at that. We just had him this weekend. My daughters, I don't know if you know this, Sarah, but they own a historical costume company. And they make
I did not know that.
Yeah, they started when they were 18 years old making costumes. My grandmother taught them how to play or how to sew and so forth. And that's how Board Game Theater came about. We started dressing up in these costumes that they make. Well, they're at the National Jane Austen Society show this weekend, this last weekend, down in Louisville, Kentucky. And they're the national clothiers for the Jane Austen. We were in Washington, D.C. last year. Well, the reason I mention all that is we had our grandson Philip here, and he's 14 months, and he would love this game that you're talking about because he likes to go to our bookshelf and he starts tearing all the books off of there, but he doesn't put them back, but he sure likes to tear them off. And
he can come and help you. Yeah, then you have an excuse if you don't win.
you should send him to your shelf of shame, and then all your components get mixed up. And you won't know what games come from, what parts come from what game because you've never played them. So,
thankfully he's pretty good. But he'll go over to. I have a desk downstairs in our game room, and where I do the podcasting and stuff here. And he'll go through my drawers and he'll start chucking stuff. But when he comes over to the game shelves, so far he's been okay. He hasn't been ripping games off. So our house isn't quite as kid friendly as it once was many years ago. You know.
Board games are tough for that.
You need to buy some barbed wire then.
Oh.
Not quite. No, he's such a sweet little guy, but he does love to get into that bookshelf upstairs and just go to town. Well, we have a great show. Again, thank you so much, Sarah, for joining us, because we love to do this with our guests, and we have this fun little game show, and we would like to invite you into that and invite our listeners to What Game is Behind the Door?
Welcome, everybody, to What Game is Behind the Door? In this segment, we put in our special guests to the test by asking them 3 questions. Questions like, what was the last game that they purchased? What is the game they're most excited about getting? And what is their favorite game right now? Perky and Badger will have to figure out what these answers are by asking questions in particular styles. Let's find out if Perky and Badger can get 3 out of 3 or fall flat on the floor like a floundering thingy.
There it is. What game is behind the door? Barry, do you want to go ahead and explain our game show to our guests and our fans?
Okie dokie. We're going to be asking, we got 3 questions. We're going to do 3 particular gaming styles to get 3 answers out of Sarah, if we can. We're going to be asking, what was the last game she purchased? We're going to be asking, what is the game that she's most excited about getting? And also, what is the current favorite game? What is her current favorite game? Well, I missed a word there. So we're going to start with our first question. What is the last game that Sarah purchased? And you guys that are online can join in and try and guess along with us. Well, we'll try not to look at your comments until the end, and we've guessed it or we failed. Okay.
This one's pretty hard.
Yeah. Okay. We're ready for a challenge after whitewashing. Who did we whitewash the other day? I can't remember. Someone not really important. Some kind of board game designer who's a bit, wishy-washy. Anywho, so we're going to play a bit of yes and no. Berkey and I are going to ask a question each to Sarah, and she'll be responding by yes or no, or maybe in the middle. Because sometimes questions do fall in the middle, like meeples fall between the furniture and get stuck in them. And then she's going to be showing us a component from the game, just to give us a help. Narrow it down.
She's already told us that she thinks she can totally stump us and make this miserable, but she does not know our game prowess. Okay.
It's true. It's true. I think if it were only components, you would have a tough time. But if you ask me questions too, you'll probably figure it out.
I've played every single set of chess that there is, Simpsons, Lord of the Rings, so I'm sure I'm going to get it.
And I've played all the Monopolies.
There you go.
We're covered. We've got this in the bag, baby.
Yeah, it's nothing. You got nothing. All right. So, first question, Barry.
Okay. I'm going to go with the rudimentary kind of entry. Was this game released in the past 2 years?
Yes.
It was. It's a 2016-2017 game.
Okay. Do you have a guess with that one, Barry? Or
what after that?
Could be anything.
It could be anything. It could be Clank, the Portal of Doom expansion.
All right. I will ask then the question, does it come in a standard Ticket to Ride size box?
No.
No Ticket to Ride box.
Okay, so here comes the first
component.
And for you audio listeners, we will explain. Oh, it looks like a very old style black pawn.
Yeah. Pawn.
A pawn. From like Pandemic, one of those kind of pawns.
Ooh.
But it's black. Hopefully the next one.
That's tricky though, because it was black. Not all the games have black components, with black cubes or not. Pandemic,
There's a black one in Pandemic.
Yeah. Okay. So, question number 2, Barry.
Okay, I'm still on the pawn.
Oh, do you have a guess?
No.
After we get your component, we can each make a guess. So we'll have a total of 5 guesses, but we may choose to pass. So I'm going to pass.
Okay. Does this game have Euro style mechanics?
Oh.
When I say that, it means like primarily, so like 80% Euro style mechanics with a 20%.
Yes.
Okay, it's a Euro game. Things that make you go, Alrighty. But it's not in a Ticket to Ride size box, so that's interesting.
I know, it's surprising. There are Euro games that aren't in a Ticket to Ride size box.
No, they're normally in a Trois or Galaxy Trucker size box, aren't they?
Yeah, it could be bigger. It could be one of these big honking boxes, or it could be one of these smaller, weird Rio Grande size boxes. It could be like a Tasty Minstrel box.
It's actually a kind of Kemet style box, but it's got nothing but black pawns in it.
It's only black.
And there's one white one, and you got to find it. That's the game. You shake the box, and then you got to find the white one.
Okay, my question was this game primarily published in North America?
Yes.
Okay, so that helps a little. Yeah. Oh, we're gonna have to take a look at another component.
You ready for this?
She's smiling. She thinks she's got us, Barry. See, but that she fell for the classic blunder.
Oh,
I
dear.
got dog treats on my hand too.
It's a
Black cube.
Yeah. So those of you who are short-sighted, who only read Braille, it's a black small
Standard little black cube.
cube. Yes.
It is black, right, Sarah? It's not blue.
It is. No, it's definitely black.
Okay, so she took our challenge very seriously, and she's going to pull out like the back sheet of a rule book that just has nothing on it.
Well, it does say in the question notes, don't do one as a red cube and then not the second one as a blue cube.
Oh yeah, rules lawyer. Yeah, way to go, Barry.
I haven't done that.
She's changed that to the color's the same, but it's not the same shape.
They're very different components. They do totally different things.
See how it is?
Oh yeah, they do, don't they? Black cubes do different things all the time. I mean, sometimes they're coal, and sometimes they are coal.
Sometimes they're in a cube tower.
Yeah.
Could be a cube tower.
Yeah.
See, we're watching you now. Look at her there.
I was gonna make it easier.
We shouldn't have challenged her, Barry.
No, you shouldn't have. Oh, wait till the next one.
Oh no. Okay, question number 3, Barry. Unless you have a guess.
Yeah, I don't have a guess. I'm feeling the need to cheat on Board Game Geek, but I'm not touching the mouse.
Yeah.
Okay. It's Euro style. It's different size boxes, recent. Okay. I am completely stumped and lost for questions, but I'm going to start with a stupid one. Is this one about trains?
No.
There's no trains in the game.
Nope.
Because it looks like one of those boring train games.
It's not a boring train game. It's not even a fun train game. It's just not a train game.
Oh yeah, I forgot there are some fun train games. But they come in standard ticket to ride size boxes.
Russian Railroads doesn't. I love that train game.
Yeah. I need to get that one played. A friend of mine's got it, but as I said, 50
and
games
that's
a week.
Euro game. And that's been out within the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
She wouldn't say the game that she's just bought.
Yes, she would. She would try to get us.
It doesn't have anything to do with trains. Russian Railroads definitely has to do with trains.
Okay, you're right. You're right. Okay. Well, then I'm going to have to say, this is a bad question because it's so narrow. Yeah. I'm going to ask it anyway. Is this a Days of Wonder product?
No.
No. All right. More components.
You ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's get the camera.
Oh no. It's a green little square block that looks like it's about 5/8 inch by 5/8 inch. Maybe 3/4 by 3/4.
I think I know what it is. I'm going to go with a guess. Is it Networks?
Yes, you are good. I didn't think you'd get it from that. Nice.
That's fantastic, Barry. We
really
love the Networks.
Yes, we do.
I almost did one of these instead. That might have been harder. I don't know.
The blue circle, yeah. We had Gil Hova on the show, and we reviewed the Networks as one of our Knights of Babble games, and it's been one of our favorite games. So tell us a little bit about the Networks.
So I did just recently purchase this from Gil Hova, and he taught me how to play when I was at Dice Tower Con because I bought it and then hadn't played it yet. So it was really awesome to get to spend some time with him. I really hadn't done that before. And getting to play the Networks. It's a really cool game. So you're in charge of a TV network, and you're trying to put shows into different time slots and get the most viewers possible. And yeah, it was really surprisingly hilarious. All of the little puns, the different names of the shows, the ads and the stars you can buy are all just really funny. So it does feel like a Euro game. There's lots of thinking and planning ahead and that type of stuff, but it's just sort of lighthearted and silly at the same time. So I think I can play it with more people than I could play, say, like Russian Railroads, although I love that game. It's a little harder to get onto the table. But this one, I can really throw it down anytime. So I've really enjoyed it. I got to play with my board game group this week, and we all had fun.
Did he have his expansion there?
So we were play testing the expansion while he was teaching me how to play the base game. So two of us had never played before, so we both played as just regular base game components at the same time that he and another lady were playing with the expansion stuff. So it was kind of interesting. He did get tested a little bit.
Huh, cool. I'm excited about that.
Some of the guys on the chat, Don Laus thought it was TAC. Kabuki Kid thought it was 1754, and Sir Jubes thought it was Pandemic Iberium.
Iberium.
But you're all wrong!
That's
I'm impressed. I'm really surprised you got it after the GameCube. That was pretty good.
Way to go, Barry.
Thank you very much. Okay.
You could win it for us. You could win it for us, buddy.
Just 1-0. Second question. What is the game that Sarah is most excited about getting? This could be like a Kickstarter that she's backed and it's coming in soon, as they say, with the ... at the end. Or it could be a game that she hasn't got the finances for, but she really wants it. It's on the top of her wish list, and it's, you know, within grasp.
No, she's loaded. She can buy any game she wants. She's so loaded. She got money sticking out her pocket. She walks around going, I'm loaded. Let me buy a game. You got a game I can spend some money on? I'm loaded.
Ridiculous. So the car that I own is from 2000. It's so old that I actually get to have a special license plate on it that says it's like a collector's car. Because I'm too cheap to buy a new one.
Wait, Bertie, earlier when you were talking about doing the 28-hour road trip to the Dice Tower Con, I could see you in a car like the Griswolds.
With a station wagon?
Yeah, I could hear Plastic Bertrand going, and you're driving down the road, the tabletop is in the back, you've got the window down and your beard's ruffling in the wind.
Hey, it actually was a 2002 Chevy Suburban. And
nice.
It's in pretty good shape, but it's got 200,000 miles on it. And I took it into the shop and I thought, well, he goes, I don't know if I'd take it on that big trip because there's a few little things that need some repairs. And I said, this is what dreams are made of. I'm going.
Oh, dear. It's an adventure.
Thankfully, I call my Suburban Gandalf, by the way. So good old Gandalf stood by me and got me home safe. So,
hey, that's good. You're the only other guy that I know who names their car after a bloke and not a woman.
I had an old Ford pickup too, and I named it was a green pickup, and it was a 1972, and I named that Kimpek.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the longest leading leader of the Klingon High Council. Are you a Star Trekker there, Sarah?
Yeah, I love Star Trek. I just finished watching all of which season? We just finished all of Enterprise because I hadn't watched it before because we're getting ready for the new one that's coming out this fall. I'm very excited.
That's exciting. My wife and I just finished watching Enterprise too. And wasn't it great after it got into the second year there where they started with the Xindi and all that?
That was fun. Yeah, I like that. It was kind of cheesy, but it is Star Trek. Like, what do you expect?
Yeah,
I still love it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm really actually excited about the new Star Trek too. And I'm forgetting what's the name of the lead actress? She was in Crouching Hidden Tiger, Crouching Dragon.
I don't remember her name, but the trailer is awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
It's gonna be really good.
All right, cool. Well, on to part number 2. We digress.
We did indeed.
Yeah, Kabuki Kid just says Enterprise hit its stride right before they canned it. Yeah.
It was pretty awesome. It's true.
It was just pretty good.
Hopefully this one will go better.
Yeah, the first couple years of character development, it seems like they always it's always a little diehard fans tolerate it, but people who aren't diehard fans, it takes them a little bit to get into it. But then same thing with Deep Space Nine, same thing with Next Generation. Just hit its stride, in that third, fourth year. Anyway.
Yeah, with both of those.
Okay, part 2.
Very cool.
So Sarah is going to answer our question by drawing a picture. Has she drawn a picture already, or is she going to be drawing it live? I
have drawn my pictures. I only have 3 of them because I'm really bad at drawing, so you'll have to deal with it.
So this could be hard then.
It, though. No, I think it'll be fine.
I heard that you were the Beth Sorbel of sales management people. So this drawing, I have high expectations for.
Oh no. Well, also, I did not choose any Renegade games for this one because even though I'm very excited about a lot of the stuff we have coming out, I did not pick any of those. So just to put that out there. This is something from another publisher.
Helpful clue. Thank you.
All right. Are you ready for my first picture, or do you ask me questions first?
Sorry, I'm having an argument with Kabuki Kid about the first season of Babylon 5. It was the best. You can't say it wasn't the best. Sinclair was way better than Sheridan. Oh,
see how it goes, Sarah? It's just we're always off the rails.
Okay,
that's okay. I'm excited about Babylon 5. I need to figure out how to download it or rent it or something and watch it because I never watched it when it came out, but it's been recommended to me many times recently. So I need to make that happen. I think I'd enjoy it.
Oh.
I picked up all the seasons in Blu-ray on Amazon on some crazy deal a while back. And so I have them all, and I started watching it, but then didn't get back to it.
Yeah, I realized the other day that I no longer own any type of DVD player or Blu-ray or anything because I only ever watch things streaming. So I need to figure that out.
Babylon 5 is the best. When there was no Star Trek, there was Babylon 5. It saved me.
All right, first picture.
Okay, yeah.
All right, you ready for this fabulous artwork?
Okay.
Okay, so she has a picture, and it looks like there's kind of like a stick person that kind of looks like an Oscar Mayer wiener with wiener arms and wiener legs.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's a balloon man.
It looks like there's like an eagle coming out of its mouth, or
that's not
an eagle head.
That's not eagle. That's that bird from Charlie Brown. What's his name?
Yeah, that Snoopy likes to hang out with.
Yeah.
Or it could be like a flame, so like it's like it's eating hot peppers or something.
Yeah, or it could be just someone coughing.
Coughing.
Don Lyle says it's his hair.
Says it's like Donald Trump's hair. It's huge. Believe me, it's like a tornado hit my head. Believe me when I say it. It's the most luxurious hair that's ever came out of anyone's head.
Okay, I've got a guess.
Okay.
All right, what's up?
Is it viral?
Yes, it is. How are you so good at this?
I don't know.
Sherry, you're on fire.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's 32 degrees here Celsius, and I'm burning up. That fan is not really working over there, I tell you.
That's awesome. That's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
That was a drawing of somebody coughing then, right?
It was. And I am so bad at drawing that I actually had to look up on the internet stick figures coughing and then I just copied it. Because I couldn't figure out how to draw it otherwise. So apparently it was good enough. It worked.
If you guys are listening to this on the pro audio edit of iTunes or Stitcher, you got to go back and watch the YouTube hangout and take a picture. Take a look at this picture.
You didn't get to see my other ones, though. Do you want to see the other pictures?
Yeah, we better see them now. That made us all. These are awesome.
There we go.
Oh my God. That's see no evil, touch no evil.
Okay, and then the last one would have given it away. If you didn't get it from this one, I was going to be very concerned about your show. Okay, here's the last one.
Oh yeah, that's the virus right from the cover of the game.
It's right.
Yeah, well done.
So I'm very excited about Viral. I don't know anything about the game mechanics at all, but before I was part of the board game industry, I used to work as a pulmonary immunologist in an infectious disease lab. So I love learning about crazy science stuff, and particularly viruses and bacteria. So I'm super excited about that game. I love the artwork. It looks awesome. So I don't really care what it's about. I'll play it. It'll be awesome.
Well, I have a picture of it right there because this was the game that was at the Dice Tower. It's the new Dice Tower Essential game that Arcane Wonders was showing off. I'm shilling here again, but it's sitting on a very beautiful little game topper.
Looks awesome. That's very pretty.
This game is just, I mean, the uniqueness of Viral. I've never seen a game that has worker placement element in the human body like that, and just the comical nature of the artwork. I know when I stopped by the booth several times, people were just loving that whole theme and just how the mechanisms interacted back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one I have to go pick up when I'm at Gen Con.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big hit, actually. I haven't seen one that's had that theme. And Arcane Wonders, just a little bit of a segue here, is our sponsor of our show. And they're still featuring Spoils of War had just come out. But this is going to be the big hit at Gen Con for them. They're going to have a lot of focus and a lot of different play opportunities to try out Viral at Gen Con.
Do you know if they're going to be selling it there?
Yes. Yeah,
oh, good.
It's going to be there for sale. And I think the release date is just like 2 weeks after Gen Con.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty exciting.
Yeah,
all right.
And it reminds me of that cartoon. I don't know if you've seen that cartoon. It's a very old cartoon from the late 70s, 80s. It's a French cartoon where every episode they go into the body, and it's this guy that looks like Berkey with his big beard. And you see how the body works, and there's like they animate people as the germs or the bacteria or the muscles, or I can't think what it's called. It's very popular.
Yeah, I kind of remember this. That one show called, what was the show with Martin Short? Inner Space.
Once Upon a Time Man. That's what it was called.
Oh yeah.
Inner Space.
Yeah, no, I was just made me think of that one too, because it was floating through the body. My wife just laughed at. She loves Martin Short for some reason.
Where is he now?
Yeah, you don't see the Three Amigos.
Yeah.
All right, we're going on to the third part of our show.
All right.
And the question is, what is your current favorite game, Barry?
Yeah, the game that you are dreaming about, the game that you're playing the most, the game that when you're at work and you're thinking about, I want this game, I want to buy a game for Renegade, I want Renegade Games to sell this game. What is this game? Tell us.
All right, you ready for clue number one?
Yes, you're going to give us 5 one-worded clues, and we've got to guess. From these.
All right. Number one, robots.
Robots.
Okay. Let's start with the obvious Ricochet robots.
Nope.
Berkey?
Well, I don't know if she's going to shill Renegade again here.
What is our favorite game?
No, see, last time she goes, there's no Renegade games, but this time she didn't say that. So it's very possible. I'm just going to throw it out. I'm going to say sentient.
It is. Man, you guys are so good at this. Nice.
Well,
awesome.
This is we don't normally do this to our guests. You know, we're a kinder and friendlier podcast.
No, yeah. So Sentient is the game that is my current favorite game. And I know that's kind of silly, but it really, really is. I've been playing it a ton. I actually got to be the producer on this game. So Scott gave me the opportunity to do all of the back end stuff. So after we signed the game with the designer, we spent quite a bit of time doing development. I worked really closely with him, figuring out any little tweaks and last minute stuff. I got to pick an artist, do the art direction, work with the factory, figure out all the little bits and pieces. And of pricing and all of that stuff. And it's been a really good experience. And I did all that because when we found the game design at the beginning, I just loved it. And he said, great, if you love this game, spend the next year working on it, go. So that was really cool. But it's so neat to actually see it finish and have final product. And it's not out for sale quite yet, but I do have copies of it that I've been playing at home. So it's been fun.
Wow, that is exciting. Congratulations. That's super neat that you get that opportunity to really pour your passion into a project that you love. That's fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been neat. It was great to get to work with J. Alex Cavern on it. He's just such a master designer. He made the whole thing really easy.
Well, it's like I said, I saw you at Origins with Scott. You guys were having a meeting, and I was having a meeting with Robert Oren, and you stopped by our table just briefly as you were heading out. We didn't get a chance to talk much, but it was like I've just always felt like, Sarah, you're a bright light in the hobby. You're always just so bright and so chipper, and just very articulate and very well qualified for all the things you do. It's just it's exciting to see you prosper like this.
Well, thank you so much. That's awesome. I'll try and keep
let's
up the
go.
good work.
Yeah, there you go. Let's move on to our Babble topic.
I'm behind, sorry.
Babble?
We'll edit all this out. I want that graphic. I want to flick it up on the screen so I can find it on the video. I want to put music on. That's not music.
No.
Now it's time for the Babble, 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 Bertie and Badger's board game Babble.
Yes. We're like semi-professional, minor internet superstars.
Minor.
Emphasis on the very minor.
Very minor. Less than 2 cents.
Well, I tell you what, in our Babble topic today, we have Sara Erikson.
Say flip ships again.
Say what?
Say flip ships again.
Yeah, 3 times real fast. 3 times really fast. It isn't going to come out right, I can tell you that. No, in the Babble topic, we have Sara Erikson from Renegade Games Studios. Plus, Sara actually has a game store with her husband in Bozeman, Montana. What's the name of your game store, by the way, Sara? Did you say?
It's Rook's Comics and Games. So Rook is a European crow, for those who are not aware. It's also a chess piece, and it's also the sort of high up top part of a ship. So there are lots of cute little reasons we picked that name.
So is that in your logo and all of that?
Yeah, our logo is just a crow because we really like corvids.
That's fantastic. Well, I think what's interesting having you on the show, and given the topic that we wanted to talk about, you have a multi-perspective on this because you're an insider to the game industry, also an insider dealing with customers in a retail establishment. And so you have a lot of different things. And some of the topics that we're going to cover today is, how do game stores know which games that are going to be a big seller, having their finger on the pulse, so to speak, of the hotness, that type of thing. And then how do you lay out your store in a way to promote the games that are big and then not allow the other games to become obscured? I used to work in retail with grocery, and we'd have end caps that we featured certain things, or if we had loss leaders, that type of thing. And then how do you compensate for a shelf full of flops and different things like that? So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but then we're also going to talk about the game publisher perspective and how can you focus on many of these game companies like yourself. You've got tons of games in your stable. You've got a back catalog. You have new games coming out. How much attention can you give to any one given game? So we're going to talk about that. And I say all that so those of you that are joining us on the live chat, please chime in if you have some questions about this perspective of top shelf, from retailer, from publisher. We'd love to have you join in with us. So starting out with that question, Sara, how does a game store owner know which games are going to be big sellers? Do you have just intuition? Do you have other analytics, or how do you determine that?
I think every game store owner is going to do this in a little bit different way, and it is really challenging. And one big thing that has been sort of coming up over and over again the past year is out of stock issues, because when there is something that's really hot and maybe my store ordered 1 or 2 of it, I should have ordered 6 of it, and now suddenly I can't get it anywhere because it's so hot. So figuring out which games should we really go heavy on and which games are we going to promote is a difficult question. And one thing that one thing that we do to combat that a little bit is going to distributor open houses, which are really beneficial. Essentially, they're just a place for retailers and publishers to get together, and publishers can show off their new games. And that makes a huge amount of difference, because it's one thing to read some information on the internet about a game. It's a totally different thing to get in your hands and actually play it. Because as a publisher, if I can explain this game to a retailer in a few minutes, show them the back of the box, help them sell it, then they're going to do a better job when they're on their own sales floor, and they'll be able to push it. So that's one thing that I can do as a store owner to really figure out what games are going to be hot. But another thing is just knowing the different publishers and knowing how much they're going to help me sell their own games. Because if a retailer picks up a game from a really tiny brand new publisher, that can be great if it has a lot of, really grassroots excitement about it, but it can be really tough if that publisher doesn't have the means to be able to promote the game. Fewer people will have heard of it, and as a retailer, I'm going to have to do that work instead.
Yeah.
So that definitely matters.
Yeah. Can we say Godfather Corleone's Empire?
Oh yeah, that's the second part of its title. Yeah, The Godfather just sort of hit all of the things. Like, it has a huge following because it's an IP. Everybody's heard of the Godfather movie or watched it. It is from a fantastic company. Cool Mini or Not is just doing a really great job, really supporting their products. They've put out a ton of information about the game and really got people excited about it. But then it also just has a lot of love from the fans, and so they're all talking about it. And that's really why games like, we also have Clank from Renegade that's sort of had the same experience, where it's just been so exciting to so many people, they keep talking about it. And then as a retailer, I want to have that on my shelf.
So when you allocated, for instance, I don't know if you can share this with, did you have limited allocation on Godfather, or how did you analyze how many copies you wanted for the early release at your store?
For the earlier release. So it is going to be different for every different company that you work with. And for the Godfather, I'm not exactly sure. I think it was 6 copies was the early release kit, if I remember correctly. So they sort of have different plans. Like, if you want to be part of this program, you order X number of this, you get this stuff, you get a certain date. Lots of publishers will do programs like that to help you kind of have an idea of what makes sense to order, but also to make it worthwhile enough for them to add some extra promotional materials in there as well.
So when you get these new games that you feel are going to be big hits and have industry buzz, like you say, the companies are promoting it well and the industry is seeing it, how do you present that game then? Do you feel like people are coming into your store going to know about it, so you kind of hide it a little bit, or do you feature it so that your other titles can take center stage, or how do you top shelf that item?
So we definitely feature things that our staff is really excited about and wants to sell, because that comes across, and people are really good at reading other people. So we try and find things that they're legitimately excited about. So for this week, we have The Godfather on our demo table, which means we open up a copy, we lay it all out, we teach our staff how to play, and then anyone who's interested, we can take them over to the demo table and tell them about the game, show them the components, and really encourage them to buy it. And then we also have a new product shelf, which is really important, because some of our games, maybe you've never heard about it before, but you walk in the store, and if you're a regular, you're always going to go to that shelf that's right in the center of our store that has brand new products on it. And if you're just looking around to browse, or maybe it's your first time in, you'll kind of walk around the whole store. But if you're a regular, you'll always walk by that shelf and see what's new and hot. And so maybe it's a game that hasn't gotten a lot of attention in the industry yet, but it's still on our hot new games section. So people will at least check it out.
Say, Barry, Kabuki Kid has a few comments. Do you want to go and read those for Sarah? Some really great questions. Thanks, Kabuki.
Okay, give me a minute to read. I need my glasses.
I can read it real quick too if you want.
Okay.
She asks, as a retail store owner, so do you ever back those Kickstarter projects that offer a level for retailers to get a bunch of copies for a better price?
So we almost never get better pricing on those deals. To be honest, it's almost always more expensive, but we do back some of them anyway because it allows us to capture some sales that we wouldn't have otherwise. If our customers know that we've already backed it and locked in 6 copies or whatever it is, and we can guarantee that they'll get one, then they'll buy it from us instead of buying it from the Kickstarter directly, which is great because they're using our space, they want to support us, they're loyal customers, and it's just kind of sad when we can't give them what they're looking for. But sometimes a Kickstarter will come out after the fact and it'll go to distribution, but the quantities are so limited that we can't guarantee to our customers that we'll get them any. If there's a retailer tier available through a Kickstarter, then we can do that. And so it makes everybody a little bit happier. So even if we have to spend a little bit extra on it, it's usually worth it.
Mm-hmm. So do you have a negative disposition toward, I know a lot of retailers, you know, there's kind of this love-hate relationship between Kickstarter and retailing. How do you feel about that?
I think it's a new tool to get to a whole new audience. And I don't think it's something that we should love or hate, really. I think it's individual product or individual projects that we should look at and decide, does this make sense for our business right now? Mm-hmm. And some of them do and some of them don't, but that's the same as it's always been, really. The nice thing about Kickstarter is that we do have a lot more information available ahead of time compared to a regular retail product. So if there is a retailer tier, we get to watch all the same stuff that they have on the Kickstarter, which is awesome because normally we're ordering things just out of a catalog that has maybe a 1 or 2 cents description and a price tag and an image. That's a lot harder to decide how much we want to buy. So it's good and it's bad. There are definitely Kickstarter projects that we just can't participate in because they don't offer a retailer tier, they don't go to distribution, or the pricing is just not good enough. And, you know, that's too bad. And I see people purchase those games on the internet and they show up at our store and we still play them with them and we have a great time. And it's just part of the whole industry. So getting upset about it just doesn't make any sense. Like, we can get as mad as we want, but Kickstarter is not going away. It's an awesome thing for consumers. It's a great way for publishers to get the word out about their games. It's absolutely fabulous for brand new publishers who really don't have the cash to be able to do a project on their own. So I think it's a good thing for the whole industry, but it's a tool like anything else. You have to use it correctly.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great perspective. Kabuki Kid has another question there too, regarding, she goes, do you offer a lot of gaming space in your store, and how important do you feel it is for the retail gaming store? Do you hold scheduled gaming events?
We do. We have a lot of stuff that happens in our store. So it's about 5,300 square feet total, and about 2,000 of that is retail space. And the rest of it is just gaming space. So we have a whole area downstairs that's just for miniatures, gaming, and role-playing with really big tables. We also have a ton of space upstairs that's a little, it's like in a balcony overlook, kind of a mezzanine type area. And that's all for board games and card games. And we have events in each of those spaces every single night. And I just don't see how you can be a retail store and offer enough extra value to customers to convince them to buy from you instead of from the internet without offering them something extra. It doesn't always have to be retail space. That's just one of the things that we do offer. But I think it can also be a curated collection. It can be amazing customer service. It can be all sorts of other things, but for us, being where we are, I think that it really does matter to people that they can come and play and have other people to play these games with. Because for a lot of them, they're either single college students who live in a dorm room and can't really host a game night, or there may be single people looking for other people to hang out with in sort of a safe and comfortable environment. And it's also just a great alternative to, say, going to the bar. So they come and spend time in our space instead. And that seems to work out for everybody.
Yeah. Better than a bar. Yes. I like that.
That's your,
it's an alternative.
Rook Comics and Games, better than a bar.
At least some of the time, I would hope.
No, I think you're right on track with that. That's where I think the local family game store, all of a sudden, that friendly environment that's creating community, and you're providing that. That's huge. And then diversification with the type of things you do. Do you offer food or beverages and that type of thing too?
We have just pre-canned stuff. So we have a soda fridge, and we have, you know, crackers and cookies and candy bars. We don't have a cafe set up. I think that that's great when people can do it, but I think it's just a whole totally separate business. If you're not capable of running a restaurant, you shouldn't try and run a restaurant and a game store at the same time. So we're really happy doing what we're doing now.
You need to get an entire different license, and
Kabuki Kid says you need liquor license.
And I see the question about the liquor license. So every place and every state has different regulations about it. And I do think we would make a lot of money having a liquor license and selling beer and wine and whatever as well, if we could get one. But Montana is very strictly regulated about that type of stuff, and the liquor licenses and even just a regular beer license are worth an incredibly large amount of money, far more than our entire business is currently worth.
Yeah.
So to get a license like that is way out of our price range.
You can do that down in the dungeon, you know, it's back like kind of the moonshiners did it. You'll have a separate space down in a secret password that they got to knock on the door.
Yeah, that's right.
And the thing is, I can speak from experience. Alcohol on your board games lasts for long times.
Oh, no.
How many times have I poured champagne on my Ticket to Ride board? How many times? You think I'd learn?
I did spill chocolate milk on a game the other day and felt really bad about it. But
Chocolate milk? That's not too bad.
yeah, that's kind of maybe the difference between you and me. You're spilling champagne, I'm spilling chocolate milk.
It smells like vinegar 6 months afterwards. You get the cards out and it's like vinegar.
Yeah.
So tell me this, as far as we're talking a lot about retail here too, but you know, I know you have a perspective there, but how do you compensate for a shelf full of flops, games that just aren't moving and that are starting to become really dated?
That can be a big challenge. And that's true in any type of retail space. You always have product that didn't hit as much as you thought it would. To begin with, we just try not to have those. We're really careful with our ordering, and that helps a lot. But we do have a little clearance shelf for things that have just been sitting around too long. But the other thing we do that's kind of fun is, after it's been about a year or so, we do a game show in our store where you pay a minimal fee. It's like $5 or $10, and you show up and you get to be a participant in our different types of game shows. So we'll have things that are similar to Wheel of Fortune, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, those types of things. People come up to the stage, they do silly stuff, and they get prizes. And those prizes are going to be mostly things from our clearance shelf. And they're totally ridiculous. They're like gag gifts. It's sort of like a white elephant party right before Christmas where you give everybody silly things. But people have fun with it. It's pretty good.
Congratulations, you've just won a copy of Monopoly Big Bang Theory.
Or maybe it's just a packet of peanuts we found behind the counter. Like, it can be almost anything.
Some toenail clippings from Tom Vassell when he visited.
Best is served by 2010.
Can I just say that my local gaming store has a very unique way of stocking their store. They have a gentleman called Philip Tappymocket. Now, you might remember the name because he is actually the designer of this game, Blackwood.
Okay.
Yeah, he's actually a very well-known board game reviewer here in France. So he has, you know, he's got lots of sites, and he's very well-known on Trick Track and everything. And so the store themselves, they use him as a reference point. He comes along and they you know, the companies, as you said, Yellow and Asmodee, they give you these packages, and he looks at it and goes, that's a good game, get lots of copies of that. That's not a good game, don't get too many copies of that, or none if you can. So I think that's a very interesting way to stock your shelves. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I definitely have been talking to my store manager who does all the ordering recently about this, because it does help a lot that I spend hours every day looking at social media posts for board game people, looking at Board Game Geek, going to all these shows. So I have a little bit more insider info than the regular store manager who has to deal with a million other things every single day, then doesn't offer that time to be able to really have your finger on the pulse. So I think that does help us out. And anytime that somebody can get more advice or help from somebody who really knows the market, it's going to help you order.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely is an advantage.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, from a game publisher perspective, okay, so now we're putting on a different hat now. As a publisher and a marketing standpoint, you've got all these games. I've been amazed at some of the companies. I think of Stephen Bonacore and Stronghold Games last year having 21 titles.
Yeah.
Okay, and these titles, they're kind of like your kids, right? I mean, if you've had a lot of time in development or whatever the process is there, and I know he has, you know, other relationships with Eggert Spiele and some of these companies, and so a lot of the development has already taken place, and you know, he's republishing different things like that. But, you know, Renegade Game Studios, you guys have got a potload of games coming out. How do you determine which game you need to give a lot of attention to without neglecting the others? And, you know, frankly, how do you do it all at the same time when you're offering 3 or 4 releases at a time?
Well, I think one thing that we've been just very fortunate with is that we have a huge fan base. People just seem to really gravitate towards our games. They're also generally pretty easy to understand the concept and jump in and get the game and know that you're going to be happy with it. So we have activated that crowd more than maybe some other companies are able to help us get the word out about our games. And that really makes a big difference, because that grassroots approach, having lots of people talking about your stuff, really will get the word out, but you have to have the right games first. So if you put out 20 games, but only 10 of them are really very exciting games, those other ones, no matter how much you talk about them, are going to languish. And so part of that, I guess, to answer your question a little bit better, is just having a lot of really good games in your catalog makes it a lot easier. And then also having fans really get excited about those games and encouraging them to do so certainly doesn't hurt. And then working with reviewers like yourself, that really makes a big difference. Getting out there to shows, talking to people, and just playing games, sitting down at a table and just playing a game with a person. And the more times you do that, that's going to spread and infect more people with that excitement. So it's just a lot of work. And picking which games to do that with, I think you kind of have a feel for which games are going to just be really hot on their own and need a little bit less love, a little less pushing. But really, they all do. None of these games, no matter how good they are going to get above that line and get into the spotlight without some help at this point, because there's just too many good games.
Yeah, there's so much noise, and you know, you look at Kickstarter and that too. Even in that environment, I've been listening to a lot of Richard Bliss and Funding Your Dream, and listening to Jamie Stegmaier, and learning an awful lot about Kickstarter, because we're bringing Game Toppers to Kickstarter this fall. So getting a lot of information from people, and it seems that building the crowd ahead of time is what's, you know, years ahead of time, even developing community. And Renegade has done such a good job of that. So like you're saying, you already have this audience. And so that when you do start to release information, you know, the quality of your product's got to be key. You know, it's not just about creating buzz for something that isn't good. You know, you need to create, you know, information that people are looking for. But to rise above the noise, you have to be doing something special. Yeah.
And every single game in your catalog has to be like that, because if one of them, no matter how much people love your other stuff, if you put one bad game out, people are going to notice and they're not going to be as excited about it. And that's really tough. So no matter how much you love your babies, sometimes if one of them doesn't hit, there's only so much you can do about it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's for sure. How do you handle your company's back catalog of games, where you know, Clank is now, in a sense, it's still, you know, becoming maybe almost like an evergreen for you, but Maybe not quite yet, I don't know, but obviously it's been very popular. How do you handle back catalog type of advertising versus, you know, what's coming out? And do you still go back and try to promote some of your older titles?
Oh, absolutely. Like Lanterns is just such a great game. It'd be a shame for people to forget about it. I think that it's just as relevant now as it was when it came out 3 years ago. So reposting things that users have put up and really paying attention to that back catalog can make a really big difference. And it takes some effort though, just like anything else. You've really got to put it in your schedule and think about it and really plan that out to make it effective. It's tough. It's not easy to pay attention to so many things all at once, but it will make a difference.
I'm sorry, what were you saying? I was paying attention to too many things at once there, sorry.
Hello, welcome to our show.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Kabuki Kid says that the Renegade app is also really nice, and they were talking about, you know, Fuse and some different, you know, things with the computer here, and she said it adds unexpected surprise like a solo game for Clank or variant methods of gaming. So how is the digital market moving for Renegade, and how do you incorporate that to increase, you know, market presence or noise, if you will?
Well, I think we're at a really cool time in the industry right now where we have all of these board gamers who've been around forever and ever and are really excited to play all your games. But you also have this practically infinite crowd of people who've never played anything past Monopoly. And that's amazing because they do have these good memories of playing games as kids, but they just haven't returned to that. And now they're starting to have kids and they're looking at games in the market that they can play and have fun with their children and have them grow up with gaming as part of their lives. So we're just really on the brink of this super cool revolution of just having so many more people playing games in general. And I think that makes it easier for sure.
Yeah, well, I think it's really an interesting topic. It seems to me a little, you know, if you've got 3 or 4 games to promote and to promote well, a lot of it has to do with the pre marketing or the pre communication with your audience before you bring the new title out. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yeah, and having things like the app really helps because people might find the app on their phone just digging through the app store that may never have even thought about games before. Or they may be really familiar with apps on phones, but they're a little uncomfortable with these board game things that they're just learning about. So making anything either more accessible, more likely they'll run into it, or even more familiar and comfortable once they do is a good thing and will bring brand new players into this industry that weren't here before.
Okay. Got a question for you. Which one of your titles would you like to see as like the predominant title that people remember Renegade Games for in 50 years' time?
In 50 years?
All right, let's say 10 years' time then. You know, like Days of Wonder, Ticket to Ride is their big game, you know.
Right. You know, that's tough. Like, you're asking me to pick one of my babies, and that is a really hard thing to do. But I think there's several that were really big hits for really good reasons, and Lanterns and Clank definitely come to mind. Both of them did something really different and innovative and really brought more people into the market than were there before. So if I could in 10 years be remembered as someone from the company that brought new gamers to this space, I'd be very happy about that. And I think those 2 games do that. So that would be awesome to be remembered for them.
Yeah, I could speak for Lanterns. Lanterns, yeah, is one of those games like Catan or Carcassonne, has this kind of nice, elegant gaming mechanism, but has this deep strategic gameplay behind it, which you just keep coming back to. And that's the kind of games that I like. The games where you just keep playing them and keep playing them. And this newness, get it out the way. I like this game. This game is fine. I just hate this game. Splendor. Yes.
One of the things I've kind of noticed with a lot of your offerings, it seems that you're creating games that are very accessible. And
diverse.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a variety of thematic type of elements, but you have they all seem very quick and accessible. So even, you know, that family market and almost gateway-ish type
Would
of
Flip
games.
the Bird fit into?
Flip the Bird. Flip ships. Flip ships.
So I do think that that's true with a lot of our titles, is that they are very accessible and really easy for just about anybody to jump into and start playing. But I am excited that in the next year or so, we have some games on our schedule that are a little bit deeper and will be for more of the market of gamers who've been around for a while. Because I feel like we've done a really good job of servicing brand new customers. Now let's take those customers that we've brought into the market and give them this experience of a deeper, fuller strategy game. So we have some of that coming up that I think will be very cool.
That's fantastic. So you are, from what I'm gathering, you tend to be a Euro-centric type of player. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, I do play a little bit more of the heavy Euro games in general, or sort of what I gravitate towards. But of course, it depends on who I'm playing with. I play with a very diverse group of people at my store. And in addition to that, my family, who are just kind of becoming gamers at this point. So I'm going to have the best experience playing a game that's the right game for that group, no matter what that group is. So I would not want to throw, like, I actually did do this as an inexperienced game master. I threw my family, who had never played really any games like this at all, into Agricola when I first got into gaming and found it and just loved this game. I thought, yeah, they can definitely play this. I'll throw them right in. And that was not a good experience. So I've learned a lot. Yeah. As much fun as I have playing that game, I realize that it's not going to be a fun experience with the wrong crowd.
Yeah, you learn that real quick.
Yeah.
Well, this has been just a super fun show having you on the show, Sarah. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us the benefit of your experience, and from both a retailer standpoint and from a publisher. Like I said, again, it's just you're a bright light, and it's such a pleasure to be able to talk with you.
You're a lantern. You are on a snow on a snowtails. You are the Gravwell of this podcast.
And it's like a World's Fair. Clanking.
Yeah. And that's how we get our back catalog to be noticed.
What a load of
we just slip it in there.
Well, this has been great. Barry, do you have anything you want to close out with before we close out the show?
No, I'd just like to thank everyone for joining in on the live chat. So Dawn and Kabuki and Sir Jubes. Yes, yeah. So Jubes. I had to think about that. I need my glasses a little bit because I wasn't sure what it was saying. I didn't know if it said flip ships or something like that. Thank you very much, Sarah, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
It's been a pleasure. Unfortunately,
well, we look forward to seeing you at Gen Con. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to be there. We've got tons of publishers with our game toppers, so I'm really pumped about all that. And we're going to be there in top hats, so I'm sure we will see you.
That should be fun. Yes, we'll be very busy, I'm sure, but definitely make some time to see you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Barry, I think we can send you out. Again, special thanks to Arcane Wonders for sponsoring the show. And if you haven't had a chance yet, you can see Spoils of War, the bluffing Liar's Dice on steroids game. Super fun party game that has a lot of player interaction, is available at your retailers and your online stores now. So you can go ahead and take a look at that. Also, you're going to see coming soon, Viral, the new Dice Tower Essential game, and Sensei's Path is available. So you can get that, the new expansion for Onitama. So again, you can reach us at boardgametheater.com, or you can reach us at Barry's site, Board Games Everybody Should. On Twitter, you can reach us at Berkey and Badger, or on Facebook, Berkey and Badger. So with that, Barry, send us out.
Okay. How do I do that again? I'm falling asleep. Why am I falling asleep? It's not that late.
It's only 9 o'clock your time, right?
Yes, it's only 9 o'clock my time. But there's the graphic, and here is the music. No, the music's not going to speak you go to sleep. We're so glad we had this time together.
now it's time to go. It won't be long until we have another show. So keep us in mind, get online. Berkey and Badger will be back in no time.